everyone, it's Laura, and I hope you're all doing well. So I got a request to do a video on how to make good grades in dietetics school. So for those of y'all who are new to my channel, I'm a registered dietitian and I'm all about plant-based nutrition, but I also do videos to help people that are interested in becoming dietitians or who are in nutrition school. Also do minimalism videos as well, so it's kind of just a mosh pit of life. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know to make more like them, and let's get started. So when you're studying, recognize when you're no longer being productive and just accept it and say, okay, I'm not being productive right now. I'm going to table this concept and I'm going to come back to it later. Or I'm trying to study, I'm not being productive, so I'm not going to study right now. And I'm going to take a break, go have a meal with some friends, and then come back and try again to study. Some people feel like, okay, I'm going to the library to study, and then they get there and they're not being productive, and they stay and they just hang out in the library. Like, that's terrible. I wouldn't want to just hang out in the library, but I did it all the time in undergrad. I just like hung out in the library because I didn't want to study, but I felt like if I went home, then like I at least wanted to make some type of effort to study, even though I wasn't, which is so silly. If you get to the library and you're not being productive, go home and try and come back in an hour, come back in 2 hours, and recognize when you're not being productive. I've said this in multiple videos, and I'll probably say it in multiple more videos, but when you're not succeeding in a class and when you just can't get concepts, get a tutor. So what I did is I got an A in Chem 1, but then, or maybe I got a B, I don't know. I got an A or a B in Chem 1. Chem 2, I was doing so badly. And part of it was the concepts were hard for me to understand. Part of it was that semester I'd started dating someone, so like school wasn't my like #1 priority. It's kind of a combination of a lot of things. And so I ended up getting a tutor, and I got one with one of my really good friends, so the cost was low. And actually for organic chem, we got the same tutor and someone else joined us, so we had 3 people, so it was super cheap. And what we would do is we would meet up with her every week, and she would go review concepts that were talked about in class, and it was amazing. She's why I passed those classes and did well. I got an A in organic chem. I guarantee I would not, there was no way I would have gotten an A in organic chem if I hadn't ever had that tutor. So look at the big picture when it comes to medical nutrition therapy classes. So look at the patient as a whole. So what all is going on with this patient? If you're studying kidney disease or liver disease, okay, exactly what is happening in the liver and why the heck am I studying this? So that's when and why I really excelled in my medical nutrition classes, is I started to understand those concepts of, okay, they're teaching me this because when people have uncontrolled blood pressure and they have uncontrolled diabetes, those are lifestyle choices, and that can lead to kidney disease. And so this is what's happening in the body whenever those things are uncontrolled. This is what's going on with your kidneys. Okay, so your kidneys are failing, so you need to watch your potassium and phosphorus. Why? Why do you need to watch those things? And why do they need to limit them? So once I started asking the question why, and once I started understanding, okay, if someone were to ask me to explain this, can I explain it? And if you can't, then you don't understand the concept. But if you can, then you understand the concept and you'll do well in your classes. Learn which friends are good study buddies and which aren't. Just because Sally's your best friend doesn't mean she's the best person to study with. Because I know sometimes, depending on the friends, some friends I would meet up with to study, and we would be there for 5 hours and I didn't actually learn anything. Whereas other friends, we were extremely productive. We would talk about concepts and ideas, talk about how we interpreted that lecture, and it was extremely beneficial. So if you're studying with people where you don't really learn anything, then it's a good indicator that you shouldn't be studying with them. Not saying you can't hang out with them. Go have lunch with them. Go have dinner with them. Still hang out with them, but just don't study with them. And it's okay to study alone. You don't have to study with people. There definitely are benefits to studying with people. But if you learn better alone, then that's fine. Take scheduled breaks because it's so good for your mental health. And it's also, you kind of get to a point to where you stop learning things. And when you get to that point, you should take a break. And I learned that, especially in my master's program, when I took scheduled breaks, I learned more and I was able to be more productive. So when I said, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to spend 45 minutes going through this lecture, really understand what's going on, and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to go take my dog for a 15-minute walk. Then I'm going to come back. I'm going to study the next lecture for 30, 45 minutes. And then I'm going to take a 15-minute break and make myself a snack, eat my snack, go back to studying. And those breaks help out so much, I promise. So I briefly mentioned this earlier, but I highly recommend talking concepts out with a friend, because then not only will you recognize whether or not you actually understand the concept, but they can also help you out and be like, okay, I actually think that this is what they meant. Let's look it up together and we can figure out what's actually right. And I had a lot of value in that, especially my master's program. I had a friend who literally she would grasp concepts like this. She was like the smartest person ever. And so during studying before the test, we would literally get together and she would teach me these concepts. And that's actually how she learned, was teaching me these concepts. And I'm an extremely auditory learner. So for those of y'all who are out there, my next tip is to record the lectures. So some professors are weird about this, so I would recommend asking them beforehand, hey, is it okay if I record your lecture? I'm an auditory learner, and it would really help me out. Because for me, what I would do is I would record lectures, and then so my second year in my master's program, we lived in Wicker Park, and so it was about like a 30, 45-minute train ride on the Blue Line to school. And so I would literally sit there on the way, put my headphones in, and re-listen to that lecture prior to the next lecture to make sure that I understood what was going on. And you don't know how much this helped me. Even if you're someone who you record a lecture and then the morning before the following lecture, you just re-listen to the previous lecture. I promise it will help you out so much. It'll also help you out when studying, because you can literally sit there, listen to the professor while you're going through your PowerPoints. And it also allows you to really focus on what the professor's saying while you're sitting in class. Because at least in undergrad, I found myself spending so much time worrying about writing things down that I wasn't actually understanding what the professor was saying. My goal was to just write everything down and then I'll learn it later, instead of taking time then to really understand what's going on, because it's then that you can ask questions. It's like, hey, what do you mean by this? Will you repeat what you just said? And engaging with the professor like that will also allow them to see that you are engaged, that you're wanting to learn. So if you are borderline like AB, then they may just go ahead and bump you up. You never know. But if they see that you're making the effort in class, then building that rapport will never hurt. Last but not least is the night before a test. Please get a good night's sleep. Please. It will do wonders for your clarity of thought. You won't second guess yourself. That's the worst. When you're sitting in a test, you're sleep deprived. You're coming down from like a caffeine crash and a sugar crash, and you're second guessing yourself on something that if you were of clear thought, you wouldn't. And you would remember. Helps with your memory, helps with your overall health. So please get enough sleep the night before a test and make that a priority. So I hope these tips helped you out for getting your grades in dietetics school. If you have any questions or comments, I love hearing from y'all. If you have any questions at all, I've been starting to do these dietitian Q&A videos, answering questions that people have about dietetics school, internships, master's degrees. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below and I'll add them to my next Q&A video. If you have any suggestions for future videos, again, I love hearing from y'all, so just leave them down below. And I hope y'all are doing well, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.